In this video, let's see how to measure and install this outside wall-mounted Shadow EMEA roller blind powered by Crestron QMT technology using a QMT5 in the Decor version. So, without any further ado, let's do it. This is the window I like to treat with an outside wall-mounted Shadow EMEA roller blind. To order the correct size for this application, using my laser, I measure the width of my window opening. Here, I have 1901 mm. Because this will be an outside mount, let's just call it 1900 mm. Okay? To provide a good fabric overlap, I consider adding 100 mm on both sides. So, the total width of my blind will be 2100 mm bracket to bracket. Just to double check, if I take away the regular 19 mm for the light gap on the right and on the left hand side, I'm left with 2062 mm of fabric, meaning I'll overlap each side by 81 mm, which is perfect. As for the height of my blind, I'll measure from the ceiling to where I'd like my blind to stop. And here I choose 1300 mm. I've also decided that the motor of my blind will be mounted on the right hand side where it will be wired to the rest of my Crestron system. I will also use this fantastic blackout fabric called Soma in the graphite color from Shadow Serenity 1 fabric binder, which fit perfectly with the decor of my office. Great! I've got everything I need to order this roller blind from the Shadow Dealer portal. And if you're interested in the ordering steps, please see our separate video on the Shadow portal as well as on the Shadow YouTube channel. And after just 15 working days, my Shadow roller blind powered with Crestron QMT technology turns up in this very sturdy cardboard box. Each box is labeled as per your quote on the portal, so it is easy to dispatch to the right room when you order multiple blinds. That is super useful. The other great thing about this box and its content is that it is entirely made of recyclable materials and it can be folded totally flat. So again, very easy to dispose when you're done. Fantastic. Also included with your blinds are the bracket kits and end caps you've ordered. Here is my motor bracket, which in my case will be fitted on the right hand side of my window. It got holes for both surface and jamb mount, as well as those two pins here to clip the blind onto. I've also got the idler bracket that will be fitted on the left hand side of my window. Can also be fitted wall and jamb, and it has this little screw here to help leveling the blind if needed. Remember, we need the roller to be completely leveled. We've also got two pair of screws, as a minimum of 2 screws is required per bracket. Okay, now let's fit the brackets onto the wall. We said earlier that my bracket will be at 100 mm away from the window edge, okay? I will also leave 20 mm from the ceiling and you will see why in a minute. So, my bracket should be fitted here, alright? Now, let's mark the position of the holes. Please note, you will have to use the appropriate fixing hardware that will fit your wall and type of install. And screw the bracket onto the wall. Always ensure that your bracket is perfectly square before securing the bracket. There you go. And same thing for the idler bracket on the left hand side of the window. 100 mm out and 20 mm from ceiling. Perfect. Now, with regards of the position of the cable, in a regular client installation, the cable should come through the wall at about 77 mil, 4 inches, in from the side edge of the bracket, and 26 mil down from the top edge of the bracket.
These are guidelines, as each install may be different. Just remember that the cable should be tied away from the fabric to avoid rubbing against it, which could damage the fabric over time. And ideally, the cable should be out of sight.
Here on our demo, I just surface mount the Crestron cable. Next, I need to install the quick release latch that also came with my blind to the QMT5 motor. This piece is important, as it will allow us to install, secure, and eventually remove the blind by pressing on the tabs here. Making sure the release tabs are on the same side of the buttons, I mount the latch using a Phillips screwdriver and the supplied screws. Then, I'll unplug the male part of the connector that need to be wired on my Crestnet cable. Now, let's install the blind on the brackets. First, I start by raising the idler end of the blind into the keyhole in the idler bracket on the left-hand side of my window. The idler pin should sit on the vertical adjustment screw, as you can see here. Then raise the motor end to the motor bracket. Here, I can push or use the tabs on the quick release until it latches onto the bracket pins. Okay. And I'll plug my Crestnet connector, wired with the same cable colors as the one on my blind. Et voila, my blind is now securely installed on my window. And at this point only, when my blind is ready to be commissioned, I can remove the protective plastic sleeve that is pre-cut for us, and that is so useful. I've also securely attached my Crestnet cable using zip ties so it is out of sight and away from the blind. Now, let's set the blind up and down limits. I always start by setting the top limit so the blind don't go up, rolling over itself. To do so, I press and hold the set button on the motor for 4 seconds to enter the limit setup mode. The LED alternates between amber and green, as you can see here. Then, I press and release the up button to begin the upper limit setup. The amber LED flashes. From there, I can use the up and down button to set the shade to its desired position. But, as I want my blind current position to be the upper limit, I just press and hold the set button for 4 seconds until the LED turns solid red to confirm that the upper limit was successfully set. Okay. Now, to set the lower limit, I do the same thing. Press and hold the set button on the motor for 4 seconds to enter the limit setup mode. Press and release this time the down button to begin the lower limit setup. The green LED flashes. At this point, I can use the down button to lower the blind to my desired lower position. And here it's fine. So I press and hold on the set button for 4 seconds to set my lower limit and at the same time exit the limit setup mode. Now, to test my upper limit, I just need to double tap the up button here. And my blinds start going up nicely. And stop exactly where I've set it to. And to test my lower limit, double tap the down button. There you go. Beautiful.
At any point, you can modify and adjust the limit, either from the buttons on the blind or via the Crestron software.
To complete the install, I will now install my brushed nickel end caps for a nice finish. Here, I just need to slide them in. On the left and on the right. and I've now completed the installation of my shadow roller blind powered by Crestron QMT technology. Look at that. This blind is beautiful.
Voila, there you have it. How to measure and install an outside wall mounted shadow EMEA roller blind powered by Crestron QMT technology. I hope you find this video useful, and if you have any question, please let me know in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to the Adelux YouTube channel so you can be updated when the next tutorial is released. Thank you, good luck, and talk to you again on the next tutorial.